When I first started my interior design career, the first thing that people started to take notice of was my use of color. And as my work grew and got published and more well-known, I became the guy who used crazy and bold color. I took it kind of as the highest compliment because I started to realize a lot of my friends were really intimidated to work with color. And to me, it just comes super naturally because I grew up in a really colorful house. So today, we're gonna go over all the different ways to work with bold color to make it fit your own home. And there are two completely different methods you can go with. You can totally embrace it and be super committed and do bold color everywhere. Or you can figure out how to ease into it and have like concentrated bursts of bold color set against something that is not super bold. So let's get into it. I would say one of the most important things to figure out before you dive into working with bold color is what kind of personality type are you? Like how much bold color can you live with? So for example, bold color is known for being energetic, having a lot of personality, having a lot of brightness to it. So if your personality is like colorful and bubbly and upbeat and vibrant, it's a perfect fit. And if your room is supposed to be that way too, then here we go. But if you are more of a subdued person who likes things very calm, bold color may not necessarily be the first choice. You don't necessarily have to live in an all white and gray room. There's just ways to ease it in to where it's not as boisterous and overwhelming as, say, a Technicolor room painted with stripes. Because at the end of the day, you want your space to be a place that reflects your personality and a place when you come home, you're just happy to be there. So now let's get into exactly what two avenues to explore and which one fits your particular space. You always have to start with emotion. What color can you knock it out of your head because you love it so much and it makes you happy, or it makes you calm, or it makes you pensive? If there's one particular color you're just super drawn to, it's gonna work. So for example, let's say that you're somebody who absolutely loves hot pink and you also love teal or aqua. What I love about doing a hot pink with a teal is we've got a warm color and a cool color. Anytime you got cool and warm together, it's a perfect balance. If I was going with like a really, really high commitment space using bold color, the teal would be like on a significant piece of furniture. It might be on the rug. It might be on the walls. It might be on the ceiling and the walls. Same with the hot pink. The hot pink may be another piece of furniture. It may be on the rug. It may be some of the art on the walls. But regardless, if I'm going full commitment, the major design elements of the room would be in these colors. All right, so this is a very, very bold palette. There's really no place for you to rest your eye. You've got a super bold pink, a super bold teal. This is where bringing in a few more colors layered in makes it a little bit more palatable and easy to live with. So what I'll do first is I'm gonna bring in a blush. When I bring the blush in, it works kind of as a bridge between the pink and the blue. It's got enough white in it where it's kind of cool. It's got enough pink in it where it's kind of warm. So it's kind of a blend of both of these colors. But at first glance from far away, the blush pink might actually read white. And that's where bringing white into the equation comes in. Now, I brought in ultra white, I brought in a more muted blush pink, and it just harmoniously works. I've still got the really bold color, but I have these supporting characters that are helping boost up the lead characters so they don't fall flat. And that's kind of how I put together bold colors for a room. I've actually used this before. I've used this in more than one space. It's just harmonious. You can think about designing with bold color kind of like the way you look at relationships. If you are all in and ready for marriage and 100% let's do this, embracing bold color and using it everywhere may be the way to go. When you go all the way, you need help doing it correctly, but it could be awesome. So the next commitment level for bold color is a low commitment level. So let's get into it. First, you really have to go easy with the saturated colors. You have to figure out how to use them strategically and thoughtfully. Another thing to think about if you're planning to do a bold colored design scheme that is low commitment and it's not going to be the train going off the tracks, is try to stick with like two bold colors. In this space, my two bold colors that are used the most are red and yellow. And if you look at the upholstery in the sofa, we've got red, we've got yellow, we've got different shades of yellow, different shades of red. If you look at the art, there's a bunch of yellow in the art. Even in some of my throws, I've got yellows and reds and oranges. And what that allows me to do is have like two more dominant colors that then kind of take center stage and let everything else kind of work as like a supporting color. And if you keep that in mind, you'll find the room will be a lot more balanced. Here are the ways that I put together a room with low commitment, but I keep it feeling very bold, personable, and boisterous. The first thing, keep your backdrop neutral, keep your larger investment pieces as neutral as possible, and then bring in all that personality and all that saturation with elements that are easily removable. The perfect example of what I'm trying to describe is here. This is my multi-purpose room, and it's meant for people who are gonna come sleep over or visit, also to hang out and lounge and watch TV, be on your phone, but also it's a very interactive space. That's why you see all these bursts of really bold color. And for example, I wanted the bold color to be the star of the show, but I didn't want it to be super overwhelming, and I didn't want to have to change this up a lot over time. So the V-groove is painted white, the ceiling's painted white, the trim is painted white, and then I brought in color in all these easily removable elements, and all of these things have some type of element in them that's bold. There are also pieces in here that neutralize it all. For example, these are Danish modern chairs from the 1960s. It's the original worn black leather and the walnut framing. Super classic, but super duper neutral. I'm having all these moments that allow people to like step back and take in the bold colors without other things competing with them. So like the big hot pink elephant in the room is, how does somebody pull off a very bold colored space and have it look sophisticated and not look like a pediatrician's office? I have an answer for that. The great thing about bold colors is you can always tone them down. Perfect example. Complementary colors right here, red and green. They also make me think of the holidays. Both are super saturated. By simply adding, let's say, a very grounding neutral, like brown, into the mix, and then maybe also bringing in charcoal. This makes me think of a very sophisticated library color palette. Like you might see a home office or something done in this color palette, and it looks beautiful together, but when it was just the red and the green, it's like, that's a lot to deal with. But then when you add in some grounding colors, it seems a lot more balanced. Another perfect example would be, let's say right here, we've got an aqua and we've got, wow, that is lilac. That is the most lilac I've seen in a long time. But if we bring in some white, it's already looking more toned down. And then maybe we bring in a little bit more of a washed out blue like that. We could also bring in like a very deep blue. I mean, it's not for everyone, but that's a much more cohesive palette in which it's much easier to digest the bold colors because they're balanced with the ones that are less bold. I could take anything. I could take two colors like this, where I've got a beautiful blush and a deep like greenish teal, and then introduce another super subtle like blue-gray. There you go. Like anytime you've got super saturated tones and you bring in a few that are less saturated, it's a much more balanced and like equally distributed use of color. So this is another reason you really shouldn't be afraid of or intimidated by bold color, because if there's something you love because it makes you feel a way and you know that it's super intense and it's like super saturated, you can control it. You just surround it by things that are less intense, and then it's much easier to live with. Just pretend that your home is your coloring book. Go play with it. Play with colors. See what works, see what doesn't work. What makes you happy? What can you spend a lot of time living with? I'm hoping that all of these ideas and these principles that I follow make it easier for you to figure out a bold colored scheme that works for your house and your lifestyle, and that you let color kind of make you happy like it does for me. So I'm hoping you found a lot of this information useful, and I'll see you next time.